Hey everybody, welcome to Fab Daddy Garage TV. I am your host Fab Daddy and I'm glad you're with us today. On this episode we're going to talk about flex plates and torque converters a little bit, how to install them and stuff, because that is the next step I have on Buford here. So Buford has an Allison transmission in him now. I pulled out the Turbo 400. I have it laying here on the ground and I'm going to go over a few things with you with that transmission. Because it's going to be too hard to do it with the Allison that's in the truck. So hang on, I'll get set up and we'll go over some stuff. All right, so here we have the Turbo 400 flex plate out of the 454 that was in Buford originally, which if you haven't been following around, I'm doing an 8.1 an Allison transmission swap. Took out the Turbo 400. Anyway, so here we have the flex plate, and as you can see, this flex plate has a big counterweight on it, or big weight on it. Couple over here. Some engines are internally balanced. This engine was externally balanced, so that's why you have the weights here on the flywheel. So that means, I'm sorry, I keep calling it a flywheel. It's not a flywheel, it's a flex plate. There's a difference. Flywheels are used on manual transmissions, and it's what the clutch engages with. Flex plate is used on an automatic transmission, and it converts the rotational energy from the crankshaft into the torque converter. So if I call it a flywheel, I'm wrong. It's a flex plate. Anyway, so as you can see here, there's a certain way these go on the engines, and you can't necessarily swap them from engine to engine. GM is pretty good about you can use them in multiple situations, but you always want to check first, make sure you don't have an internally balanced versus an externally balanced, because if you put a balanced flywheel on a balanced crankshaft, or an unbalanced flywheel on an unbalanced crankshaft, it can cause some issues. So always make sure you have the correct flex plate. This one, as you can see, it has 6 mounting holes, but the torque converter only has 3 mounting holes. The Allison actually has 6, so I'm not sure if this would work. I know some of them do cross over. You can use them on different transmissions. I hope the cicadas aren't too loud. You can actually hear me. So these flex plates go on a certain way. You can't just one way or the other. As you can see, if I can get in here close enough, the mounting spots for the torque converter are offset to one direction. And then if you look at the mounting spot here, where it mounts to the crankshaft, there's a little lip here. And that lip always goes away from the engine and towards the transmission. So it would go on this way. I mean, you can tell on this one because you can see where the flange of the crankshaft was. But if you get a new one and you're unsure which way it goes, always follow the directions. But that's an easy clue, is this lip and the little bump outs for the torque converter go away from the engine. Now, I've seen a lot of guys do this, even on guys that are supposed to know what they're doing on how-to shows. They'll throw this on the engine and they'll just crank these down as hard as they can. But you want to space out. So say we're looking at the back of the engine, they'll put this on, they'll get the bolt started, and then they'll just ram them down with a impact. You don't want to do that because you can actually warp this flex plate. So then it'll in there, and it'll be in there wobbling as the engine's running, it'll cause a vibration, and then it may not get the starter may not engage correctly. So you always want to make sure you go in like a star pattern, like you would with lug nuts in a car. You want to get them all like maybe hand tight, then go on with like a ratchet to get them on there, because this is almost, it's kind of like a press fit. It's not exactly a press fit, but it fits on there pretty tight. So if you just ram one down, it may not be on the crankshaft, and it may not be on the crankshaft straight, and it can bind up and it'll cause that vibration. The same thing goes with this little nub right here on the back, sticking out of the torque converter, actually fits into the back of the crankshaft. So you want to make sure that once you get this on the crankshaft straight, you don't want to just put in your first bolt in the first hole and crank it down, because that could also bend that flex plate. It'll get in there wobbling and stuff. So you want to go around, you want to get one hand tight, rotate it around, get the next one, rotate it around, get the third one, and then go back again. Like I said, do it in stages and make sure you get to your final torque. So Now that I've kind of gone over the basics, I'm going to climb under the truck and I'll let you watch me do it with Beaver. Be right back. All right, I wanted to give you a quick tip before you climb under the truck or your vehicle. Go ahead and pull your spark plugs out. What that's going to do is that's going to make sure there's no compression in the engine, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this big flex head ratchet and socket to bar the engine over to each spot. I'll explain a little bit more when I get under there. All right, so here we are set up underneath Buford. Normally there would be a cover right here. Oil filter goes right here. Normally there'd be a cover over this. Obviously it's off. I also took an access panel off right here because I'm going to need to turn the torque converter around until I get to the first hole lined up here. Then I'm going to take my bolt, if I can find them. There they are. These are actually these are actually GM bolts. They actually have a thread locker type stuff on them, and they're actually double head. They're either a regular hex head or they have an Allen head if you want to use that. So I'll get it in here, and like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to get it finger tight, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ratchet here, and I'm just going to snug it up. I'm not going to tighten it up at all. I'm just going to snug it up. That's not the right part. Let's do this. Let's get rid of that. We'll do this. Okay, so like I said, we're not going to really tighten it all. Well, basically what this is going to do is it's just going to pull the torque converter up to the flex plate. There, you see that? I don't know if you saw it or not, but the torque converter just kind of pops forwards a little bit and is now engaged with the flex plate. All right, now it's just starting to snug up, so I'm going to stop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my big ratchet that I just showed you. I'm going to put it up here on the bolt of the main pulley on the front of the crankshaft. I'm going to slowly rotate it over until I get to the next hole. I'm going to stop, grab the next bolt. I should be able to, sorry if I bumped the camera, should be able to run this all the way in with my fingers. Maybe not. There we go. Okay, so popped. There we go. So since I didn't crank that last one down, I'm able to run this one in almost all the way by hand because there's still a little bit of movement between the two pieces, between the flex plate and the torque converter. So now I got down to the, there we go. Got down to the thread locker. I'm going to use just a little bit more oomph to it. All right, so that's basically finger tight. So we'll bar the engine over. We'll leave the next one. And you just repeat. Excuse me, just got dirt in my mouth. Just repeat as necessary until you get all six in. This is going to be a boring video. You're just going to watch me doing this the whole time. Again. We're not putting any. There we go. Just barely snug. Roll around to the next one. And if this turns hard, and you have your spark plugs out, you might have an issue. But mine actually turns over pretty easy. Oh, that one actually went in all the way finger tight. All right. Bar around. Just got one more. One more bolt. There it is. You can still see. I haven't really been paying attention. All right. You can kind of see what's going on. Go in all the way. So, all right. So now that all 6 bolts are in, remember I said these engines use 6. These torque converters use 6, which I think, I'm not sure what other transmissions do. Anyway, so since this was already, we've got all 6 of them in, we can go ahead and use the ratchet to tighten this down just a little bit. Now, you don't want to go too far, because again, you're still just kind of stuck, getting everything set, make sure everything's straight. And now, as you're cranking it over, you can watch and make sure there's no wobble. Oh, wait a minute. I guess I didn't have all 6 of them in. Oops. I guess I can't count. Where's my other bolt? There it is. Yeah, shouldn't hurt anything, hopefully. But like I was saying, you can kind of watch your flex plate. Make sure it's not wobbling like we talked about earlier. So now we can go ahead and tighten that up by hand. You don't want to go too tight because the torque on these is only like 41 to 49 pounds. It's kind of random. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mark right next to that bolt that I've already got hand tight. I'm going to bar it around. I'm going to skip one. It sounds like my neighbor may be getting ready to mow her yard, so I may have to cut this video off here while she's mowing, but if I do, I'll be back. The second one here, go ahead, kind of tighten it up by hand a little bit. Again, it doesn't need to be real tight. We'll put our mark, if I can get my marker. Put our mark there. You can kind of see it. There we go. And we'll bar around. We'll skip one. Remember, we're doing this, we're skipping, so it's kind of like when you torque a wheel, so for the exact same reason, so that you don't have it too tight on one side and it makes it wobble. Alright, so we're gonna, again, don't want to get it too tight. I don't need it too tight. Put our mark. Yeah. Sounds like my neighbor's getting ready to mow, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this part of it, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how it torque. See you guys. Be back. Okay, neighbor lady's done mowing her backyard, so I'm going to continue here. So I went ahead and I've gotten them all tightened up with the ratchet. I marked each one so that I made sure that I got all 6 of them done. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my torque wrench set up, get these torqued to between 41 and 49 foot-pounds of torque. Problem is, my torque wrench only goes down to 50. So we're going to over torque them what I did was I put it at 50 and I backed it off 5 notches. It's not going to be the most accurate, but it should be okay. I'll recheck them again later once I get a smaller torque wrench from work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to torque them, and then I'm going to put a second mark next to each one so that I know that they're all torqued. So here we go. This is going to be kind of challenging because the only torque wrench I have here is my 1/2-inch torque wrench. I can't really see the size of it. It's about 2 feet long, and the problem is I've only got about 1.5 feet of clearance. So here we go. We'll see what we can do. Alright, that one's torqued. Actually going to put a mark on the head of the bolt. Just put a black spot on it there. It's pretty reasonably easy to see. Now we're going to skip around. I'm going to skip one. It's a busy morning. You got the lady mowing next door, dogs barking, got airplanes flying over. Busy day in town. All right, so here we go. The next one. Okay. Now, as you can see, I'm not like jerking real hard on the torque wrench. If you've seen people like turning down wheels and stuff, and they're like just jerking the hell out of that thing, that could give you an improper torque reading. You want to go nice and gentle, do it about 2 or 3 times, and then move on. All right, so we'll skip another one. Okay, and if the same thing happened when I was turning over before, oil's going to come out of that oil filter housing and get right in the face. All right, come on now. There we go. That's half done. So what we'll do is, like that one. Oh, stupid Sharpie is not doing well this morning. Alright, I can see that. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to skip 2, and we're going to go all the way around to the other side of the flex plate. Almost called it a flywheel again. Alright, so we'll get in here. Okay. Okay. Skip around. Now, I have seen people, I don't recommend it. They have their starter hooked up, and they have like a little remote button down here, and they just bump it. And they use the starter to turn the flywheel, or I'm sorry, I did it again, to turn the flex plate around to the next hole. You can do that, I guess. My starter is hooked up, but there's an issue with that, so you'll have to come back to, we'll have another episode on that here coming up soon as to what the issue with that is. But I guess if that's something you can do and you feel safe doing it, go for it. All right. Hey guys, sorry the video cut out. My battery ran down in the camera. So all you missed was me going back around and re-torquing, checking the torque on all 6 of the bolts again. So now I'm ready to go ahead and put the spark plugs back in and get everything back to where it was. But as I was looking at the spark plugs, I noticed, I'm all laid out here, if you look closely at this one, not sure how well you're going to be able to see it, somehow the porcelain got cracked. Don't ask me how. I did drop one of them, so I wonder if this is the one that I dropped. It hit the metal plate sitting under the truck. So I'm going to have to replace that one. More than likely, these are all brand new, but more than likely I'm going to replace them because as you can see, they're the iridiums. Focus. They're iridium NGKs. And I guess sometimes these engines have problems with the iridium, sorry, flinging around there, have problems with the iridium spark plugs. So I'm probably just going to go back old school, get some nice, some other NGK nice spark plugs. So anyway, thanks for watching today. If you wouldn't mind going down there and clicking the like buttons, if you'd love to subscribe, I'd love to have you. And then if you do subscribe, hit that little bell icon so you'll know when I post a new video. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.